After another frustrating loss, the Colts are sitting here in a position where it's do we sell or do we buy as the trade deadline comes up? And we knew something could happen, right? We've heard that we might go after Jerry Judy, right? But now we look at all the players with the situation we're in. We're looking at the players that the Colts have that are going to be restricted free agents next year that they either could or could not end up paying, right? Guys that who could we see them move before the trade deadline comes tomorrow at 4 o'clock? So going through this list, we're going to go through the list real quick, and then we'll pick out some people who we think should be traded. So we have Gardner Minshew, Zach Moss, Trey Sermon, Michael Pittman Jr., Isaiah McKenzie, Juwan Winfrey, Grover Stewart, Tyquan Lewis, Kenny Moore, Julian Blackman, Tony Brown, and Rigoberto Sanchez. So it's a decent name, a list right there, right? A nice list of names. And of these guys, like who are guys that we're not going to pay, right? Tony Brown is in that conversation. Juwan Winfrey probably in that conversation. You have to assume with another offseason, being able to get his own guys. Shane Steichen will let Juwan Winfrey go, right? Didn't really even want to carry one of the fifth receivers. Didn't have enough guys for him to carry one of these guys. Juwan Winfrey ends up being the fifth receiver, but I assume Shane Steichen has a different plan going into next year, so he probably won't get paid. Trey Sermon could be a depth piece that we decide to keep here, but he keeps getting passed around. I assume we're going to let him go, try to find his own opportunity. And of course, Zach Moss, guy that you're not going to pay because you have Jonathan Taylor, Gardner Minshew, another guy you're not going to pay because you have Anthony Richardson, and they might pay Gardner Minshew, right? If Gardner can't find a starting job somewhere next season, then they could come in and say, "Hey, let's go ahead, have you stay here as a backup to get backup Anthony Richardson." But I just don't see Gardner doing that. Yes, the Colts might want to do that. I don't see Gardner wanting to do that. So when we look at this list, who are guys that could be traded? Who are guys we want to be traded? You let me know down in the comments who you want to be traded, who you want to keep. So going through this list, I already told you who I think we're not going to pay, who's not going to be here next year. So Zach Moss, at the point of the season we're at, do you go ahead and trade Zach Moss since you have Trey Sermon? You can have him back up JT, right? Or do you keep these two for the rest of the season? Honestly, I think we're going to keep these two for the rest of the season. Haven't heard a single thing about trading Zach Moss, but this new coach regime very into keeping everything in house. While Frank was here, things were very transparent, and that was nice. As a fan, it was nice to always know what's going on, what the real conversations are. But now we're sitting at a point where you don't really know with the Colts, right? Chris Ballard has gone back to being very secretive. Shane Steichen also somebody that doesn't really talk much. Even though he has his press conferences a couple times a week, he doesn't say much. So when it comes down to it, like what do I think we're going to do with Zach Moss? I think we're going to keep Zach Moss, but also he's a guy that, yes, if we're not going to pay him, he's on the trade block. If somebody wants him, you can have him, right? Team like the Chargers who have Austin Eckler. And sure, Austin Eckler has his own contract situation, but right now the Chargers are a team that needs that extra element to their offense, right? They can't just rely on Austin Eckler in the run game. Joshua Kelly doesn't get it done. So maybe Chargers make a play for Zach Moss. They're a team that could be a contender. So maybe they go ahead and make a play for it, right? I don't know who would be. That was just the first one that comes to mind. But Zach Moss, somebody that I think we should at least try to move. Michael Pittman Jr., somebody that I think we should pay. So, in my opinion, he stays here. I don't think there's any way Michael Pittman Jr. gets traded. And the market for Michael Pittman Jr. right now seems to be about what Christian Kirk is. So, with the way the salary cap's gone up, Christian Kirk's was $18 million a year. Salary cap's going up. Got to imagine Michael Pittman Jr. is going to be right around $21 million with the extra little bump there. But that feels right to me. I've been thinking about this a lot. I think it's very comparable to have Michael Pittman Jr. and Christian Kirk in the same conversation, right? And the last guy here for the offense, Isaiah McKenzie. He's our special teamer right now. Like, do you really want to trade him away, right? Dallas Flowers out for the year. Josh Downs is a big part of the offense right now. So Isaiah McKenzie going to be staying for the rest of the year to be our special teams guy. Then you move over to defense. Grover Stewart has to be paid. If there's anything the last couple games have taught the front office and the Colts organization and Colts fans as a whole, it's that Grover Stewart cannot be replaced. We have to pay Grover Stewart. He can't be one of the guys that's traded. He needs to be one of the guys that's paid by us. We have roughly the estimated value. Of course, salary cap exact number won't be figured out until next offseason. But right now, estimated at $62.615 million in cap space next year. Grover Stewart has to be a part of that. Now, Taekwon Lewis is on this list. Don't expect him to be somebody that's going to get traded. He seems more of a year to year kind of player. Kenny Moore is somebody that I think we should pay. I don't think there's any hesitation behind this. The way he's looked this year, like this might be the best Kenny Moore that we've ever seen. And Kenny Moore's been really good before. Like he's playing at an all pro level. Like a lot of guys play at Pro Bowl levels, right? Even backups play at Pro Bowl levels nowadays. You know, backups are allowed to make it to the Pro Bowl. So Pro Bowl doesn't really matter. I don't care if a guy's playing at a Pro Bowl level. Are they playing at an all pro level right now? Kenny Moore is playing at an all pro level, and he needs to be paid. If this is what we're going to get, he needs to be paid. Then you have Julian Blackmon. A lot of people want Julian Blackmon to stay, and I get it. I get it, man. Imagine how much value we can get for a guy like Julian Blackmon, though, right? Trade him to a team like the Steelers. Let them pair up Minka Fitzpatrick and Julian Blackmon, or trade it. I don't care who we trade him to, just get rid of him. Like, I'm sorry, we don't need him. I'm ready to see Nick Cross. And if you're not going to take Rodney Thomas out of the game, which should have happened a long time ago, and put in Nick Cross, then what are you waiting for? Like, trade Julian Blackmon and put Nick Cross in. There's no way Nick Cross should be sitting on our bench. He's too good to be on special teams. Yes, I know he's really good on special teams, but Nick Cross needs to be playing more snaps. He needs to be in on defense. And I'm ready for that to happen. I understand not all Colts fans feel the way that I feel. I think Julian Blackmon makes splash plays, but is far too inconsistent in the back end for me to feel comfortable with. Lets things over the top too often for me to feel comfortable with. I want somebody else back there. Now, also, Julian, you know, I might be giving him some flack. It could very easily just be this Gus Bradley defense. But I do know that this Gus Bradley defense runs cover three. So why is Julian Blackmon, when there's a deep shot down the sideline, why is he always so late? That's supposed to be his zone, and he's nowhere near it. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he's good in the run game. He makes, again, splash plays and is able to get interceptions sometimes. It's not enough. I want to see Nick Cross, right? I want to see if we can get somebody who can make more plays consistently. And I think we can get really good value for Julian Blackmon. If you already have a guy in waiting, then why not get value for a guy that you're about to not get anything for in the offseason? We're not going to pay Julian Blackmon. So I think we should go ahead and trade Julian Blackmon. Tony Brown, a guy, just released him. Nobody's ever going to trade for him. Rigoberto Sanchez, obviously not a trade target, but somebody that is going to be a restricted free agent next year. Somebody that we should definitely be paying. His leg, I mean, he is bombing balls right now. Our coverage team can't keep up with the balls that he's bombing. So hopefully we're able to retain him and pair him up with Matt Gay for years to come, and have those special teams guys locked down. So again, this whole list of guys that aren't going to be here next year if they're not paid: Gardner Minshew, Zach Moss, Trey Sermon, Michael Pittman Jr., Isaiah McKenzie, Juwan Winfrey, Grover Stewart, Taekwon Lewis, Kenny Moore, Julian Blackmon, Tony Brown, Rigoberto Sanchez. There were other guys, you know, Ike Bodiger and stuff like that. Danny Pinter's on there. There were other guys, but didn't really need to bring them up. Some of these guys felt like didn't need to bring them up, but they were notable names, guys we've been talking about. So wanted to go ahead and bring this up. Guys that I think we should or could trade would be Zach Moss and Julian Blackmon. I honestly don't know if there's a whole lot outside of that for us to do. You know, Braden Smith's been hurt, or else I'd say he would be somebody that we should think about trading. But either way, I think we got to do something at the trade deadline, whether we're going to get somebody or whether we're trying to trade to get picks so that we can get more people in the upcoming draft or have more draft capital to go get somebody before the upcoming draft. Like, whatever it is, we got to do something, man. We can't sit here and not do anything. the way this team is, there's a real good chance we end up finishing with a real middle of the town record, like a 7-10, 8-9, like middle of the road, getting a draft pick that we don't really want right in the middle of the first round, where so many, no names end up being, right? So many guys that don't really do much in the NFL get picked between 10 and 20. That's kind of no man's land. People always either trying to trade up or trade out of those spots. I don't want to be there. Okay, we either need to sell the farm and try to be in a position where we can move up to get Marvin Harrison Jr., or we need to be buyers and we need to go get cornerback help like Patrick Surtain II or Kyrie Elam or Jalen Johnson. I don't care. We have to do something. Okay. And I'd like to know your opinion on all this. You let me know down in the comment section. And as you can see, background a little different than normal, right? This isn't my normal place. So schedule this week could be a little different, could be a little hit and miss. But I do have some stuff that I'd like to talk about this week. So go ahead and make sure you subscribe with notifications on so you get notified when any of these videos do come out this week. I appreciate you stopping by for this Overreaction Monday conversation. And as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.